It's Tuesday the 16th of December. From the MEN newsroom, this is Channel M's Lunchtime News, and these are today's headlines. The innocent tradesman killed while fitting a kitchen at a block of flats in Withington. Also this lunchtime, caught out on Channel M, the man claiming disability benefits while training for a 10k run.
The lifestyle and the sort of things that Mr. Rostom was evidently capable of doing were completely at odds to the story that he'd actually told the department.
Plus, uncovered by workmen, the artefacts that reveal fascinating details about Stockport's history.
And we noticed that there was something coming down, just hanging down from one of the openings in the chimney breast.
Good afternoon, more on those stories to come, but first some news just breaking, and we're getting more details about a murder investigation that started in Crumpsall. The body of a man was found at a house in Parkhill Avenue. We can get the latest on this now from our reporter Kevin Duffy. Kevin.
Yes, thanks James. Now, the information available about this incident is at this stage quite limited, but it is nonetheless shocking. We understand that the headless body of a man believed to be in his 60s has been discovered at a house in Parkhill Avenue, just behind me. We understand that soon after that discovery was made last night, a human head, was found in a bin close by. Now, police haven't yet named the man whose body they discovered, but they do say that they have arrested a man who's 31 on suspicion of murder, and he's presently being interviewed. Police haven't yet identified the victim. Back to you.
Kevin, thanks. A paranoid schizophrenic's admitted killing a semi-retired joiner from Sale after hearing voices in his head. Paul Cusack repeatedly stabbed Sydney Waller and has admitted manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility.
67-year-old Sydney Waller was a grandfather from Sale who'd been married for 44 years. His family are still distraught over his death earlier this year. Mr. Waller had been installing a kitchen in the flat next door to one in which his killer lived. On the morning of July the 28th, Cusack called the police saying that he'd killed someone. When police arrived at this address in Withington, they found him behind the front door, covered in blood and holding a knife. Mr. Waller would have had no warning of the attack. Cusack had a long history of mental illness and in the days leading up to the attack had become increasingly paranoid. He'd been working with a number of mental health organisations, but it seems that a number of warning signs hinting at his increasingly disturbed state of mind had not been acted upon. Cusack is a paranoid schizophrenic with a history of illegal drug use. Last year he'd been sectioned after twice flying to America and buying a gun. He was then transferred to community care, but missed 18 appointments with his care worker, who failed to raise the alarm despite Cusack admitting that he'd stopped taking his medication. He also admitted to carrying a knife and had been given a police caution after twice being caught with a blade. Despite his erratic behaviour, Cusack had been left to live at home at the time of the killing. His care worker has since been sacked. NHS officials have commissioned an independent investigation into the management of Cusack's treatment, and Manchester Primary Care Trust has admitted serious failures in his care. Cusack will be sentenced on March the 13th. Georgia Calvin-Smith, Channel M News.
The cost of living's got cheaper. Inflation fell to 4.1% in November. That's less of a reduction than some experts had predicted. It's well above the target level of 2%. The energy regulator is demanding faster action on removing unfair pricing from customers' energy bills. Ofgem's estimated £500 million will be taken off them when there's an end to households having to pay more for using prepayment meters. 5 sticks of dynamite have been found at a department store in Paris. There were no detonators with them. The area has been evacuated and cordoned off. We understand a warning had been given that bombs had been planted there by a group calling itself the Afghan Revolutionary Front. A man's been prosecuted for claiming £12,000 in disability benefits while refereeing football matches and running a 10k race. Brian Rawsthorne from Newton Heath was partially caught as a result of taking part in a Channel M programme about the charity run.
I've been conscious about my weight quite a while. but never sort of had the willpower or the impetus to do it, so I just thought it'd give me the kick up the butt to get it done, sort of thing. I've got a sprint on here now.
It was footage from this programme broadcast on Channel M last year that helped prosecute Brian Rawsthorne for not coming clean about his change of circumstances. On his form for claiming disability living allowance, he said he couldn't walk more than a few yards without being in pain, yet this is him training for a 10-kilometre charity run in 2007.
This investigation started as a result of the department receiving anonymous information. The information we'd received, the lifestyle and the sort of things that Mr. Rawsthorne was evidently capable of doing, were completely at odds to the story that he'd actually told the department.
The former mine worker's training twice featured in the Manchester Evening News, which explained how he survived an explosion at the Golborne colliery near Wigan in 1979 that killed 10 of his colleagues. He was left with severe burns and, after initially returning to work, developed arthritis and began claiming benefits in 1997. Medical tests proved he was entitled to them. What's been in dispute is his condition since 2004. Court was told how he'd been helping out as a football referee and had also taken part in that 10k run to raise money for charity. The prosecution's case was that his condition had improved so much he should have told the Department for Work and Pensions about it, but he insists his condition hadn't got any better and he'd simply learnt to cope better with the pain.
He was actually in receipt of disability living allowance. It can well be the case that they come to terms with an illness or a condition which makes them able to cope. And Mr. Rawsthorne should have notified the department.
The judge told Brian Rawsthorne that he should feel rightly proud of his achievements in completing the Manchester 10k, but he should have notified the DWP about the improvement in his condition. He said it was a distasteful part of his judgment that he'd had to find him guilty in a case where there was clearly no dishonest course of conduct. Mr. Rawsthorne walked free from court with a conditional discharge. A man from Old Trafford has been told to pay the Treasury £20,000 or face jail after falsely claiming benefits. Balbir Singh from Roslyn Road had previously admitted giving false details when he claimed housing and council tax benefit. It meant he was overpaid more than £36,000. He's got 18 months to make the payment or he'll be sent to prison for 12 months. The 54-year-old must also repay all the benefits he falsely claimed. Thousands of retired public sector workers could soon have their pensions reduced. Overpayments have been discovered that date back years. The government's already said it won't try to get the cash back immediately. Ex-military personnel and NHS staff are just some of those who are affected. A young cancer patient is nearing the end of his coast-to-coast charity walk to raise money for the South Manchester Christie Hospital. 23-year-old Tom Buckley is due to finish his 180-mile trek in Robin Hood's Bay in North Yorkshire later, after starting on the 29th of November. It's been a remarkable and challenging journey, as Ben Bland reports.
Pretty much, there's nothing that can be done to cure the cancer at the moment. So I'm not at the peak of my health at the moment, but it's a challenge, and you've got to just, I've just got to live each day as I can, really,
It's that fighting spirit that motivated Tom Buckley to walk 180 miles to raise money for the Christie Hospital in Withington. During his life, he's been diagnosed with 14 cancerous tumours, the first in his eye when he was just 2 weeks old. Then, just a few months ago, doctors discovered he had a brain tumour and gave him a year to live. That's when he decided to raise money for the hospital to say thank you for the care they've given him over the years.
And then the first week was 3,000.
Tom's journey began on the 29th of November at St Bees Head on the west coast. He made his way across the Lake District and over towards the North Yorkshire moors. At times the journey was gruelling. Shortly after he started the walk, the weather took a turn for the worse. Such conditions would be a challenge for a fully fit walker. But Tom's 18-day journey is made even more remarkable given that he'd previously had a knee replacement and operations on his leg to stop bone cancer from spreading. But the trek has had its pleasant moments as well. He's even made some new friends along the way. Throughout the walk, Tom kept a blog. On one entry he writes, "On day 7, a lady who was suffering from cancer herself recognised me and pulled over on the roadside in thick snow to donate money. Amazing." But what's truly amazing is what this young man has achieved as he approaches the finish line at Robin Hood's Bay on the east coast. Originally he set out to raise £500 for the Christie. To date he's raised almost 40,000. Ben Bland, Channel M News.
Next, the plans that could see Old Trafford Cricket Ground transformed into a world-class venue. Lancashire have big ideas to redevelop the stadium there. Right now, they're asking people living nearby for their views.
We've got a third day of 3 public consultation exercise in respect of the regeneration and redevelopment that's proposed of this area, obviously including the redevelopment of this famous cricket ground. In terms of the cricket ground, what we want to see is a world-class stadia which can host up to 25,000 people, a minimum of 15,000 permanent seats with brand new facilities, so that when you come in here, instead of some of the slightly tired buildings at the minute, you're getting the facilities you want as a spectator. Our members obviously need to be looked after as well, so that it hopefully builds on the history and reputation here, but with all the modern facilities you'd expect. The first phase we're hoping will start in March with a sort of year-long programme, so in a year and a half's time we'll have that beautiful new building which will cater for 1,000 conference and banqueting guests. The rest of it then is a complicated process, but our target is to make sure we're ready for 2013 when we have the Ashes back here at Old Trafford.
Let's get the lunchtime sports headlines now. Here's Sam Goodman.
Thank you, James. And some breaking news for you. And former Manchester United player and now former Blackburn Rovers manager Paul Ince has been relieved of his duties at Ewood Park. An announcement was made from the club around half an hour ago after a meeting was held at 11 o'clock to discuss Ince's future. He'd been at the club for 6 months and won only 3 league games out of 17. Well, I'm sure you're all aware Manchester United are currently in Japan preparing for Thursday's FIFA Club World Cup semi-final against Gamba Osaka. Channel M's Andy Dickman is out there covering the tournament for us, and he joined Mike and Byron on the telephone during this morning's breakfast show to tell them what Sir Alex Ferguson had said during today's press conference.
United are here to win it. They've travelled 6,000 miles, 12 hours on a plane, and they're not going to come here just to waste the journey. They want to win this tournament. They, of course, won the sort of predecessor to the tournament back in '99 against Palmeiras when Roy Keane got the winner, and they want to do it again this time. They're determined to really do that. He's brought a strong squad over. There were certain rumours a few weeks ago that he may not be bringing a full squad over, but all the big guns here, Wayne Rooney's here, Cristiano Ronaldo's here. I was outside the team hotel when they arrived yesterday, and what a fantastic reception they received. It's, of course, a reception that they're used to from their numerous pre-season tours to this part of the world, but a great reception, and they're here for a meaningful tournament. These pre-season tours are all very well and good as preparation for the season, if you like, but this is a genuine trophy they want to win. The European champions, English champions, now they want to add the world crown as well.
Despite the Reds' stuttering league form of late, Wayne Rooney believes United are ready for the challenge of winning the competition.
I think we're prepared. You know, it's just coming up to nearly halfway through the season, and we all feel pretty fit. And although there's a lot of games, you know, the games we want to be playing in, and you know, I think as a footballer you want to play games every week and midweek all the time. So it'll be good, you know, a good experience for us all. We've never, played in this competition before, and if we can go out there and win a trophy, then that'll be great. So I'm really looking forward to it.
A little closer to home, and Droylsden are in FA Cup action this evening. They face Chesterfield in the FA Cup second round replay. A trip to Ipswich awaits the winners, and should the Bloods progress, they'll earn an extra £30,000 to add to the £44,500 they've already won in prize money in what is their 9th FA Cup game this season. Finally, Stalybridge Celtic face either Bognor or FA Trophy holders Ebbsfleet in the last 32, providing they come through tonight's rearranged first round clash at Stoward Bridge. Well, that's all from me for now. Join me again later this evening.
Thank you very much. More sport with Andy Crane from 5 o'clock. Still to come between now and 1 o'clock, then more on our breaking news about the murder investigation in Crumpsall, and also the historic find in Stockport shedding light on the area's past.
We noticed that there was something coming down, just hanging down from one of the openings in the chimney breast. Being curious, I kind of pulled out one of the shoes, and then before I could realise there were a number of other items which came down from the chimney, including some Victorian Christmas cards.
Good afternoon, this is Channel M's Lunchtime News on Tuesday the 16th of December. Don't forget we're here every day between 12 and 1 with all of your top stories from across Greater Manchester. You can always log on as well to channelm.co.uk. On there at the moment the new appeal to find people who are missing from home and the Christmas turkeys arriving by taxi. That's at channelm.co.uk. Let's return to our top story now and the murder investigation that's on in Crumpsall. The body of a man was found at a house in Park Hill Avenue. Kevin Duffy's on this.
Yes, thanks, James. Now, the information available about this incident is at this stage quite limited, but it is nonetheless shocking. We understand that the headless body of a man believed to be in his 60s has been discovered at a house in Park Hill Avenue, just behind me. We understand that soon after that discovery was made last night, a human head, was found in a bin close by. Now, police haven't yet named the man whose body they discovered, but they do say that they have arrested a man who's 31 on suspicion of murder, and he's presently being interviewed. Police haven't yet identified the victim. Back to you.
Kevin, thanks for the update. A couple have been jailed for 3 years for child cruelty following the death of their baby son. Stacey Taylor and Mark Harrison from Chapel Court in Hyde didn't take their 6-month-old boy Jack to the doctor because they wanted to cover up injuries on his body. When he died of pneumonia 2 years ago, his arms, legs and ribs were broken. A serial rapist has been found guilty of dismembering the British bar hostess Lucy Blackman in Japan and abandoning her body. The 21-year-old disappeared in 2000 and there's been a long fight by her family to find whoever was responsible for her death. A court found there wasn't enough evidence to convict the millionaire property developer Joji Obara of murder, but he will serve a life sentence for a series of attacks on women. Anyone who uses Microsoft's Internet Explorer is being advised to use a different browser because of a security problem. Programmers are trying to fix the issue that could allow criminals to hack into people's computers and steal their passwords. A fascinating insight into Stockport's Victorian poorhouse have been uncovered by workers building the town's new multi-million-pound college. Beverly Walkden's been to see what they've uncovered.
I was taking some marketing staff around the building and we noticed that there was something coming down, just hanging down from one of the openings in the chimney breast.
No legs, is there?
Being curious, I kind of pulled out one of the shoes.
Wow.
Well, this is one of the shoes pulled out of the chimney breast, and I have to say it feels amazing to be holding this, to think that possibly 140 years ago a woman, desperate, perhaps with children and starving, arrived here looking for a roof over her head.
To know that you're actually handling something that probably hasn't been handled for well over 100 years is quite a strange sensation, really.
What about the bag of marbles? I mean, they're absolutely incredible. It's just how we imagine Dickensian children almost.
That bag of marbles was actually found in one of the floors, and as part of the restoration work here, we're removing ceilings and floors to strengthen floors and renew ceilings, and they simply just drop down from the ceiling. In terms of the pencil sketching, we found that in the basement area. We think it was around 1890, and it probably would have been sketched by one of the inmates.
Pulled out from the dust and debris was also a food menu.
Because of starvation, because of disease, and really the families came into the workhouse as a last resort because there was nothing else there for them.
As part of the £100 million regeneration, who knows what else these developers will unearth. Beverly Walkden for Channel M News.
There are fears some Christmas post might not arrive on time here in Greater Manchester if a 24-hour strike goes ahead. Workers at depots in Stockport, Bolton and Oldham are threatening action on Friday over plans to merge some sorting offices. It's part of a nationwide programme of action by the Communication Workers Union. They're worried 500 jobs could be lost. Royal Mail claims the strike would affect only 5% of its workforce. Saturday is the last first-class posting day before Christmas, and the union says workers will do all they can to clear any backlog. Three faiths have united in a festive first for Manchester. Christians, Muslims and Jews from around the city came together for a unique event. December 2008 is one of the few years when the festivals of Christmas, Eid al-Adha and Hanukkah all fall in the same month.
The event was organised by three interfaith organisations in Manchester to celebrate Eid, Christmas and Hanukkah. The three festivals fell very closely together this year, so we thought, let's get together and have a celebration. It's fantastic. I think they're really enjoying it, and the whole idea was to get people to come and to socialise and to mix, get to know people, make new friends and hopefully develop those friendships in the future.
Now, they say you should never work with children or animals, but being nearly Christmas, we've ignored that completely and sent a Channel M cameraman along to a nearby donkey centre where kids were in their element.
Elizabeth Svensson Trust Donkey Riding Therapy Centre, which is based in Debberdale Park in Manchester. And we've been here for 5 years and we provide riding therapy for children with special needs across the Manchester and North West area. The children that come to us have got a variety of special needs. They might have learning difficulties, they might have physical difficulties, or they may have communication and speech difficulties. So autistic children have spoken their first words here, children who might have difficulty with exercise and posture will sit, and all children get increased confidence and self-esteem. From the 1st of December we've done our parties for the children with special needs that come to us. So we book them in and we give them an extra long slot because there's lots to happen. So they have a ride, they come through, and then we've got a gingerbread house grotto in the middle of the arena. So it's a real surprise for the children and the donkeys when they come inside the grotto where they meet Father Christmas. They get an individual present that's been chosen specially for them.
Let's take a look at the weather now, and after a decent morning, Michelle Eagleton is looking ahead at what's in store for the afternoon and the rest of the week.
Well, it just started off rather cold this morning. There was about 3 or 4 degrees and it felt it as well. Really, really biting and cold. So I hope you did take your coat with you because you are going to need it later on. You're possibly going to need an umbrella as well. You're seeing highs of around 8 and 9 degrees for the majority of this afternoon. So temperature is getting slightly better, but it really is a bit of a mixed bag for you today. We are going to see plenty of rain and a little bit of wind this afternoon. It stayed dry most of this morning, so it was quite lucky really. We didn't see any of that kick in, but about 3-4 o'clock there's going to be some heavy downpours. They'll go on straight into this evening and overnight. The next couple of days pretty much the same kind of picture. That's for Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. I'm afraid you are going to have to keep that brolly close to hand. You certainly are going to need it. Temperatures getting higher as we go through the week. I do know that Saturday it's probably the best of the bunch, highs of 12, and it's staying dry.
You're watching Channel M's Lunchtime News. Our main headlines this afternoon. Police are investigating the murder of a man in Crumpsall whose decapitated head was found dumped in a wheelie bin. The victim hasn't yet been formally identified. A 31-year-old man was arrested at the scene on Parkhill Avenue and is being questioned. A paranoid schizophrenic's admitted to killing a semi-retired joiner from Sale after hearing voices in his head. Paul Cusack repeatedly stabbed Sydney Waller and has admitted manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility. We'll have more on those stories in our early evening news later on with Andy Crane from 5 o'clock. But from me and the rest of the Lunchtime team, have a good afternoon. Bye-bye for now.